So this is the last tip of the 5 fast and dirty exposure and response prevention tips. So with the first one, we saw that it was all about going and buying some junk food that you normally eat compulsively, and that was about learning how to experience an urge and then not react to it. And the second one was about recognizing when your brain says you need to do things, you should do things, you have to do things, you can't not do this, trying to get you to engage in compulsions, that you can actually not do them, and the world will continue, and you will continue. And the third one was about those compulsions where we avoid things. And so it was about picking goals and then doing those goals, achieving them, no matter what your brain throws at you. So we talked about just going and talking to strangers. So a great way to learn how to not engage in all the judgments that your brain throws around. And the fourth tip was recognizing that the pain is not the problem. When you're thinking about, I want to get rid of this anxiety, I don't want to experience these intrusive thoughts, that's not actually the issue, and you really need to take a holistic approach to tackling the problem, not that thing you want to get rid of, because trying to get rid of that thing is really what, in many ways, creates these problems. And the last one is about punching hard, and just always punching hard. And this, I bring this up because this came from actually my karate teacher. And so I was taking karate lessons when I was about 17, 18. And one night I was just sort of like punching like this, like not, maybe a bit harder, not really hard. And the teacher came by and asked me, why aren't you punching really hard? And there was a tournament coming up. So I was like, in this very typical OCD behavior, I said, I want to save my energy. Right? We probably do that. That interferes with all sorts of people when they're working out and they deal with anxiety disorders. They think, if I waste my energy, I'll be tired later, and all sorts of excuses that bubble up. And so I said, I'm saving my energy for the real tournament. Then I'm going to punch hard. And my teacher, he said something to the effect, so he was Japanese, so he said in Japanese, something to the effect, you must always punch hard. And so I was like, okay, I'll punch hard. But more and more I realized that really is applicable to OCD and anxiety disorder, addiction, recovery. Because often, and this connects with the previous point, often we're very focused on getting rid of some particular symptoms. Right? We come in and we say, this is the compulsion, I want to get rid of it. It's causing problems in my life. But what helped me was really recognizing that the same way I was engaging in that compulsion, I was also doing things throughout my life on those same patterns. Because recovery really isn't about just eliminating a particular symptom. Because as you've probably seen, if you do stop one worry that's been bothering you or stop one compulsion, it just jumps to another. Because it's those patterns. Remember, our brains are like puppies. If we teach them to do an unhealthy thing in one area of our lives, they're going to do it in other areas of our lives. So when it comes to punching hard all the time, that's really about doing healthy things all of the time. One of the examples I always bring up is that if you're constantly judging other people, and you're judging them, they should be doing this and they should be doing that, your brain is going to judge you too. If you're judging the way other people look all the time, your brain is going to judge the way you look. Right? You're going to look in a mirror and you're going to find yourself thinking, you don't look like this and you don't look like that and you don't look good enough. But that's because you've been training your brain to do that with people. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you and other people. You're all people. And this even goes back to why we do the ice cream exercise with the first tip that I talked about. Because often when you talk to people who are struggling with compulsive behavioral issues in their lives, they'll talk about, here are the things I have problems with. But if you ask them about food, you'll also find out there's often a food that they will eat compulsively. But they don't see it as a problem. They say, that's just my personality. I just really love that. I can't help myself. But that, again, is a way of engaging in those compulsive patterns in one area of your life, and you teach your brain that. And often the food is a really interesting one because we often learn those behaviors with food when we're very, very young. And there's a lot of shame attached to food and secrecy, and sometimes we didn't get those foods. And so when we do find them, we haven't learned how to handle ourselves around them. And we've just built, right? We've learned at a very young age, when that food is there, you have to eat as much as possible. And that is just a way that we start to learn how to engage in compulsive behaviors. And of course, now we have much more adult compulsive behaviors, but they're really no different. Right? So whether it's at work, whether it's at school, whether it's at home, you really need to start looking for these places where you engage in unhealthy patterns and cut them out. Whether you think that they are a problem or not, whether you're bothered by them or not, that's a way that you practice these behaviors. And so it's very easy if you're practicing these behaviors in your life all the time, they're going to spill over into other areas of life where you don't want to see them. The great thing is that the same benefits that you experience by cutting out compulsive behaviors in one area of your life, you will also experience in other areas of your life that you didn't think were such a big deal. It really is amazing once you learn to stop trying to cope with and check on and control uncertainty in every area of your life. You're going to experience all sorts of different things in your life in a much more healthier way and a much more happier way. So that's kind of the benefit that I can promise you, because I know this sounds difficult, but you really will get to experience things in a way that aligns with who you are and who you know you are, but probably who you're not acting as. Exposure and response prevention is tough. I know it's really difficult, but keep pushing with it. Take tiny steps. Relapses happen, that's totally normal. Just keep applying these skills and keep an open mind. You're going to learn so much about yourself and your brain and how your body changes through this process. So just keep walking it. Get the supports you need. Talk to people who have recovered. Talk to professionals who can help you. Reach out and just keep moving along on that journey. Make sure you take lots of delicious, healthy food for the journey and maybe take some pictures along the way too. All right, so enjoy that journey. It is tough, but it is so worth it.